Hello everybody, in this video we're going to revise when to use a comma in a series. A series means that you have to have 3 or more items listed, and so this is when we would need to use commas. This is just a revision. We already did some exercises about this topic in class, but we're just going to revise it. So the rule says we use commas to separate 3 or more words in a series. In a series means they come one after the other. For example, Jen has a pencil, a book, and a crayon. So here we have 3 nouns in series: a pencil, a book, and a crayon. So we would need to use a comma after the first noun and after the second noun just before the end. Okay, we don't use commas if it's just 2 items like Jen has a pencil and a book. We don't need a comma. We only need a comma if there's 3 or more words listed in series. So again, use a comma when creating a list with 3 or more words, usually nouns or adjectives or verbs. When you want to list nouns or adjectives or verbs in a sentence, you only use commas if you're listing 3 or more of them. For example here, the construction worker had a screwdriver, hammer, and nails in his toolbox. So here we have 3 nouns that are listed. So we need to put 2 commas, okay? One after screwdriver and one after hammer and just before and. So again, if you want to write a sentence and you want to list 3 or more nouns, verbs, or adjectives, you would have to use commas, only if you're listing 3 or more. I need milk, bread, and butter from the store. So here we're listing 3 nouns, so we need to use commas. Those cookies are delicious, delightful, and delectable. We're listing 3 adjectives that describe the cookies, so we need to use commas. Delectable means delicious, okay? Will you help me wash the dishes, dust the furniture, and vacuum the living room? Here we're listing 3 actions, 3 verbs, so we would have to put commas between them.
When you're writing and you list a few things in a row without commas, it can be confusing, as I'll show. For example, let's say you write the following sentence: my best friends are Jenny, Bruce, and Dennis. Without commas, it's not so clear to me if you're naming 2 friends or if it's 3. Now put a comma after Jenny, another after Bruce, and it's clear that you've got 3 friends. That's the truth. Oh, commas are fine. Commas are dandy when you're listing things. They come in really handy. Commas are cool, so let's give them a cheer. 'Cause when you're listing things, they make it all clear. Here's another example. Let's say you're going to the beach and you list the things you need and you write: bring a hat, towel, and sunscreen. Once again, without commas, things are kind of a mess. Exactly what you're saying we can only guess, but put a comma after hat, another after towel, and now what you're saying is easy to follow. Oh yeah, it really is. Oh, commas are fine. Commas are dandy when you're listing things. They come in really handy. Commas are cool, so let's give them a cheer. 'Cause when you're listing things, they make it all clear. Yeah, when you're listing things, they make it all clear.
Okay, so I want you to do page 100. It's about a comma in a series of nouns. The rule is written in the text box. A series is a list of 3 or more words used in a sentence. Use commas to separate 3 or more nouns included in a series. Commas tell readers when to pause. So for example, Juan grew beans, corn, and tomatoes. So they're like a small pause. So you're gonna write each sentence correctly, rewrite it, and you're gonna add commas wherever they are needed. Here you will be separating verbs using commas. Okay, so for example, Juan planted, watered, and harvested vegetables. So we have 3 verbs in a series. Write each sentence correctly. Add commas where they are needed. If no commas are needed, write no commas on the line. So here, maybe a sentence won't need any commas. So you're just going to write no comma on the line if it doesn't need. So be careful. Another concept that we want to revise after finishing with commas in a series is idioms. Idioms, it's a group of words that don't mean exactly what they say, so they have a non-literal meaning. We already had a list of idioms we took them in class. For example, hit the hay, like went to sleep, or hit the books to study. So now we're going to get introduced to some new idioms. For example, here, she spilled the beans. It doesn't exactly mean like she spilled beans on the floor. No, it means that she talked too much and told the secret. So if you told someone something and they promised like not to tell anyone, and then you found out that they did tell someone, that would mean that they spilled the beans. Okay, so spilled the beans is also an idiom. So in our reader's notebook on page 183, we're going to get introduced to 5 new idioms, and they all include the word head. For example, keep your head, lose your head, get a head start, over your head, head in the clouds. They all have a non-literal meaning. They all have a different meaning than what they actually say. So it doesn't really mean like to lose your head, like to lose it, or to over your head. No, they actually have a new different meaning. So you're going to find out the meaning of these idioms. Of course, you might need to use Google or the internet in order to find out the meanings of these idioms. And then in the second part, choose one idiom from the above and write 2 sentences. In the first sentence, write the meaning of the idiom. In the second sentence, replace the meaning with the idiom. So for example, you might say, you're going to write the meaning of the idiom. For example, she told everyone the secret. She spilled the bean. Okay, she told everyone the secret. And then you're going to say in the second sentence, she spilled the beans. Okay, so you would use the idiom only in the second sentence. In the first sentence, you would just say the meaning, what it means, like she told the secret. Okay, and then you would replace it with she spilled the beans. Or if you would say, for example, she studied very hard. That's first. And then in the second sentence, you would put, she hit the books. So you would use the idiom instead of the meaning. Okay? Or for example, you would say, she went to sleep. And then in the second sentence, you would say, she hit the hay. Okay? But you're not going to use the idioms I just said. You're going to choose one of those 5 idioms shown on page 183.